This is the Red Hot Reds podcast. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Straz.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds, a Cincinnati Reds podcast, hosted by myself, Roger Straz, and Reds on SI writer Ricky Logan. We are doing something a little bit different. We do some more recorded stuff. We're recapping the week. Might do it on a Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday. Just something different. We want to change it up for you instead of going live all the time. So that way you can get to this whenever you get to it, either in podcast form, on YouTube, on Twitch, on wherever other channels, on Instagram, all that stuff. So we had a lot happen this week, Ricky. So we just want to kind of get basically a recap of what happened the last couple of days and your and I's reaction to it. But how you been?
Been good. The week's over finally. And we're starting to get nice weather finally too. We had that weird like Sunday on our live show. It was like 75. And then we had the crazy winds, and then Monday morning it was like 26. So we're finally getting closer to spring. Weather's getting nice, and that just means baseball's back.
Yep, exactly. Opening day's forecast was looking really nice in the 70s, and it had a little bit of rain and stuff like that predicted, but now the rain's gone away. So looks like we are full speed ahead for spring train to be over in the next couple days, and then opening day to be here in less than a week. So that's kind of crazy to think about because that means baseball is here officially. Not no exhibitions, not no silly breakout games or going to American Family Field up in Milwaukee and playing them for some interesting like kind of I don't know, scrimmage, I guess we call it. I don't know exactly what they're going to do up there. It's kind of a new novel thing. They won't be at Dare Park playing against the minor league team this year, unfortunately. But it'll be kind of different this year, and hopefully, our Redlegs will get off to a great start going into 2026.
Yeah, it was kind of weird last year because they debuted that uniform that everybody was so up in arms about, and then they never used it the rest of the year. So I'm curious to see if they maybe bring those back for that game.
It'd be nice, yeah, or make it maybe the new City Connects, maybe. That's coming, I think, down the road. But we can talk about that probably in a later show when they start either getting those leaks out there and whatnot. Before we get into all the week's news, there was some non-Reds news, well, kind of Reds news, because the guy that was involved with the game and ended up getting the game-winning double RBI in the World Baseball Classic 2026, Venezuela versus United States, Eugenio Suarez coming in the clutch, delivering Venezuela's their first ever WBC title, and just an emotional outpouring of all the players and all the coaches and all that in that game. I watched that game a little bit, actually. Turned it off for a bit and then turned it back on in the ninth, so I caught the game-winning hit in the right time. But Ricky, what were your thoughts and reactions to the World Baseball Classic final?
Yeah, seeing Suarez come through in the clutch like that just gets you excited for the regular season. So if he can have either McLean or Ellie get on ahead of him, just you feel really confident about that run scoring this time around. And yeah, it's, as an American, you're always rooting for the U.S., but when one of your guys is on a team, you're also kind of interested in that team as well. So, the U.S. didn't get it done. I know they're kind of struggled up until the eighth inning, kind of getting their offense going. But yeah, just happy for Suarez, especially him coming through with that go-ahead hit.
Yeah. I think something on Mike's show that I caught, that's something that I think the Reds have been lacking as well, is that I think Eugenio Suarez last year had 24 home runs on off-speed pitches. So like half of his home runs, he's seeing the ball in the off-speed and just, crushing it, whether it's, changeup or curveball or what have you. And that's something that distinguishes you as a Major League Baseball player. Anyone can hit the fastball, right? If they see fastball and they get their bat on the ball and time it up right. Hitting the off-speed stuff, that can determine whether you stay a minor leaguer and stay kind of in that CES range where he's not seeing the ball out of the hand that well, to being an elite, major leaguer where you can see that off-speed stuff and punish the opposition. So to see that kind of stuff out of Eugenio makes me, even though that, he'll have the high strikeout rate, he'll have, maybe not be able to run down the first baseline and beat out hits like, a 10-year, 15-year younger version of himself, but he will still be able to bring that veteran presence and eye to this Redlegs team and be able to, keep pitchers honest that they either going to have to throw him the fastball or going to have to take a chance that he might pick up the off-speed pitch and crush it.
Yeah, I think that's something that he really wasn't that great at early in his career, and just, being a, 35-year-old veteran now, it's, he can kind of teach that experience to the younger players too. I know Ellie's pretty good about hitting breaking balls. I know as much as people say online he can't hit a curveball, but a lot of his home runs are on off speed and breaking balls. But yeah, it's fun and exciting just seeing Suarez back in a Reds uniform, even with a different number. But just his ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark no matter what's thrown at him is just something that we should all be excited about. For sure.
And hopefully he can bring those good vibes only back to the clubhouse, especially coming off of a World Baseball Classic title, where the one comment that I saw that I didn't really pick up when I saw the celebrations is that someone had mentioned everyone usually rushes the mound after a victory of huge victory, World Series, playoff win, whatever, right? Making the playoffs. The Venezuelan players were so overcome with emotion, they couldn't get to the mound. They fell down on their knees, just basically in pure joy, pure adulation. Just they couldn't. They were overcome that they couldn't even get to. As Eduardo Rodriguez, the Diamondbacks pitcher, like they couldn't even get, or the Palencia, sorry, the Cubs guy, the closer for them. They couldn't even get out there in time to do to do like a little mosh pit on the mound type of thing that generally happens, right? That's how much it meant to this team, and I guess to kind of hopefully take a page out of that, hopefully that's the kind of feeling that this Reds team can have and all of baseball, because the passion that especially the Latin teams, the Dominican, the Venezuelans showed in this tournament. I mean, that shows you what baseball really means to these guys and how much they desire to be successful out there.
Yeah, it was just nice seeing a different team that was there. It's typically been the United States or Japan or the Dominican Republic, and it's kind of nice seeing a team like Venezuela and Italy playing very well this time around. And that just shows you, man, baseball's growing worldwide, and I think there's no better time than now to showcase why baseball should be in the Olympics and have MLB talent on those teams.
Yeah, is that not confirmed? I feel like I just was looking it up before the show. The timing of the Olympics is right around the MLB All-Star break, which I'm not sure if that's on purpose or an accident or just something that coincidence, but that seems like a real reality. And if it's not confirmed, I hope it is in the next couple months, years, whatever it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should. I know hockey will do an Olympic break. I think NASCAR did an Olympic break a couple years ago. I think baseball, if with the way we're adjusting schedules and everything, when now we're starting in March, if we could start the season in early March, and you could take that 2-week break and have guys play in those games, and guys that don't play in those games just get a 2-week rest period.
Yeah, and it kind of fits along with your take of shortening spring break or spring training. You can have that move up the season. I know that will be kind of rough for maybe our parts where we experienced just 20-degree weather this past week, but maybe you have a lot of more games in the warmer climates or dome stadiums to work that out just for that 1 year, 2028. It's not like this is going to be a forever thing. And yeah, get it done, MLB. Do something. I mean, the guys we're talking about going to Olympics, right? Like Bryce Harper and whatnot. So get it done.
Yeah, that just shows you either that, if you're not going to let them in the Olympics, and if there's not a way to make it work, find a way to put the World Baseball Classic during that window also.
Yeah, for sure. Get it done, MLB. Rob Manfred. Yeah. Anyway, there had been also some other news this week, some roster trimming down, some guys that, I had predicted. I was talking about Hagen Danner season unfortunately, another one of my takes where my guy gets immediately sent down. Or
I was there with you. I thought he had
a lot of people were. Yeah. So you're right to be there. They say is hopefully it's just not my fault this time. but yeah, some other cuts out there. Presumably, I think Blake Dunn is still working through an injury or something he had going on, so he got optioned down as well. Kyle Nicholas, who had been pitching mostly in the WBC, had not seen much action in spring training, so the Reds cautiously were like, yeah, we'll use your option to put him in AAA. And Luis May, the only guy that hasn't been that we talked about also on the show is Big Sugar, Maxwell. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know where you want to go with exactly which storyline to follow, but like, what were your thoughts with these roster cuts that happened this week?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by the Nicholas decision. I think they're still technically kind of delaying that, right? If I read that right, like they're confirming that he will be, but I think they're just kind of waiting on timing of it. Mm-hmm. Luis May, I kind of figured he's really struggled. Zach Maxwell, he's had flashes, just still really struggling with command. And Hagen Danner just really surprised me. Like I had a feeling he was going to get sent down, but I was wanting the story of it. But I think that with those guys going down, you feel really confident about the next man up for when it is their turn. AAA bullpen is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a little bit harder to get Kunzel to AAA now, just because of all the guys that are there.
Yeah.
Still, I think he's there. I just don't know if he's going to have that closer role that he had with Chattanooga. But yeah, so that leaves Connor Phillips,
Sam Moll,
Burke, Sam Moll, Pierce Johnson, Ferguson when he comes back from injury, Graham Ashcraft, Pagan, Santillan.
Yep.
Am I missing one? I don't know how many I named, but
I think you named most of them.
I feel pretty good about the bullpen, especially like Sam Moll's been really good this spring. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it's less than a 1.5 ERA. It's got to be close to that. It's less than 2. I'm pretty sure. He's striking guys out. He is kind of walking guys a little bit, but it's spring training. Like you're working through some things. So for him to be pitching that well while he's walking guys, just shows you that his breaking balls are working and he's getting guys to get out on via the ground out or a fly out, which makes you feel really good about his stuff going forward. You kind of worry that because of how many games Santillan and Pagan pitched last year, that they might be worn down even though they've rested. You kind of hope not. Maybe they're just kind of going through the motions through spring and they'll be ready to ramp up when it's actually time. But yeah, I feel pretty good about this bullpen with the guys that they did send down. And then Blake Dunn, I kind of figured he was going to be one of the send down guys. I just read something here just a minute ago. Gordon Whitmire, I think, just put out that they are planning to announce the final rosters tomorrow. So that's why we're not hearing anything on Nathaniel Lowe just yet. But basically, he's got he said Lowe is one of the final 3 players in camp with the mix of a final bench job, assuming Dane Myers is on the team, which seems necessary even if manager Terry Francona hasn't revealed that decision. He said that would leave Lowe jockeying with righty hitting outfielder Reese Hines and lefty hitting outfielder JJ Bleday. I kind of feel like he would make the team over Reese Hines just because I think that they would want to go with Bleday in that situation because Bleday gives him a little bit of flexibility. Lefties on the mound because he can hit lefties pretty well. And I don't think he's terrible against right-handed pitching, but I think his lefty splits are better. But I'm interested to see what they announce fully. I know we had the live stream on Sunday talking about our projected stuff, and it seems like we're not too far off the way we're looking at it.
Yeah, for sure. And just the Sam Moll stats you kind of referenced, 0 ERA, 10 strikeouts, 6 walks. So not necessarily, the greatest walk rate, but that's, like you said, working on stuff, grips and stuff like that. And it could be difficult to kind of have your command in that Arizona setting and whatnot. The thing is, he's just not getting hit hard, only giving up 2 hits in 8 innings pitched. So that's kind of a good, nice thing to see, because usually that, if you're getting kind of beat up hit wise, that could be your stuff's, not going where you're wanting it to go over the plate, and the guys are just eating it up. So not too bad out of Sam Moll, a guy that we thought possibly would be a candidate not making this team for the opening day and possibly getting waived, DFA'd. And, that was before the Caleb Ferguson injury. So like all this kind of like shifting happens and whatnot. And I feel like this time around, we're in a lot more healthy spot aside from the Hunter Green, aside from the Caleb Ferguson. Like there hasn't been any major, really killer kind of injuries that will really affect this team, a la Friedel getting hurt in spring training, and also
Stevenson with the oblique last year.
Stevenson, yeah.
Marte exactly. 2 years ago with the PED suspension.
Exactly.
There was the little scare yesterday. I think it was yesterday, the Brady Singer blister, but everything's fine with that. That got cleared up today.
Yep. Very good point. Yep. Yeah, that's definitely, that would have maybe sent us into maybe different headspace with our pitching depth. But
we'd be going with a 5-man rotation this time.
Yeah. But you did bring up a nice one in terms of like Nathaniel Lowe opt-out day today. So happy Nathaniel Lowe opt-out day. We don't know exactly what it's going to be. It could be either. I'm not exactly sure either. I think you're mostly correct in terms of that they would probably keep him around as opposed to like an option down to Reese Hines. And I think even a JJ Bleday has an option. So there's still flexibility within this roster. I know I had mentioned this is feeling like a Mike Ford situation where we're kind of being held hostage to keep a guy on the roster when, that we desperately need offense. I don't know if exactly that anymore, because it feels like Nathaniel Lowe will contribute to this team offensively and not just take us for the money type of thing like Mike Ford. And also we have the roster flexibility to allow him to be on this team. We're not in a desperate situation where we're just hoping that a guy that we keep on the roster without options will stick on and contribute regularly. And from the what we've seen with Nathaniel Lowe, he seems like he's not 2022 silver slugger. He hasn't got reclaimed that form yet, but he's pretty darn close to that, and he kills it, kills righties, and that's something that we would definitely like, even if it's coming off the bench, right? So we'll see, like you said, on Saturday, what the Nathaniel Lowe situation is. But like you had mentioned, I think we both are coming to the conclusion that he probably will be on this opening day roster for 2026.
Yeah, it feels like it's an easier pill to swallow seeing Reese Hines get optioned down for Nathaniel Lowe as opposed for Reese Hines getting optioned down for Jacob Hurtubise last year, or a Mike Ford of the world. Like at least with Nathaniel Lowe, he's got a great track record. He's got a great career OPS. He's an above average hitter throughout his career. Just a few years ago, he had 20 plus home runs. So I feel good about it. He's still only 30. Like I feel good about him being on this team. And I was kind of thinking about some lineup options with him because, before when we made our projections, we had the comment, I think it was from Carrick, about Suarez being the primary third base backup. And that had me thinking about infield depth, and I feel a little bit better about it now, just not worrying about Suarez playing a lot of first base, because you would have Sal and Lowe basically flip-flop at first base and DH. And I think that's good. I like that. And that gives, if there's ever a day where, Stevenson's needs a day off, but his bat's still performing, you could throw him at DH and you can have Trevino catch, and you can give Suarez, Stewart, or Lowe a day off too. So I feel a little bit better about the infield depth now that I'm thinking about it that way. And that comment, I wish I would have realized that in the moment, but hindsight 2020, I guess.
All good. Yeah. And hopefully all our takes aren't going to be blown up tomorrow when we see the roster and all that. That's
Reds
my
trade for Jacob Hurtubise.
Yeah. Well, I think he's got on a team, so he might not have to trade for him.
Just sign him. Yeah. He's
minor league deal.
He's out there somewhere.
We will see. One thing that you did get right, though, in terms of takes, Ricky, is that you had predicted that they would have some sort of hybrid starting situation where they would, we all famously know in the Cincinnati circles of Reds fans that they're going to have a pitch limit, inning limit for a Chase Burns, innings limit for like a Rhett Lauder because he missed all of last year. And you had kind of predicted kind of like, hey, why don't we just kind of pitch him back to back? You get 2 quality starters, back-to-back 3 innings or so each, and then you got like a full quality start, and then you get to the bullpen the 7th, 8th, and 9th. I don't know if you want to take a victory lap for this one or you want to just expound on it because you did write about it as well, I believe, and alluded to writing about it. So, like, how do you see this working, and is it something that maybe future teams will do?
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that a team's going to experiment with it, and if it works, other teams are going to start doing it. I think I saw Jeff Carr on Locked On Reds kind of talk about that a little bit. It said it seems like a Derek Johnson type move and not a Tito move because there's no history of Tito doing this. But I like the idea because any given day, let's just say your 1 and 2 is, or 1, 2, and 3 is Abbott, Lodolo, Singer, right? And then if you go the traditional 5 route, essentially you could go number 4 being, let's just say, Rhett Lauder, with his replacement being Brandon Williamson. And then Burns can get a full start that week, right? And then the next week, number 4 Lauder gets a full start. Williamson gets an extra day off. Burns gets a half start. Williamson gets a half start, and they just kind of flip those 2 every other week. And effectively, they're playing the same amount of games as they would, except they're throwing less innings. And you're kind of getting that extended start every other outing, and you could do that the next week, and you could start Williamson and then bring in Lauder or Burns, and then the next week Williamson gets a full start. So like there's ways. It's an experiment for sure, but I think it could work, and I think it's a really good way to get these young guys, because we got to remember Lauder and Burns just 23, 22 years old. Williamson's just 27, and he's only going into his 3rd season as a starter in the major league level. He missed all of last year with Tommy John, so no better way to ease them in and get them meaningful games. And if we could save innings on these guys and we're in a legit playoff race, like having Chase Burns as an option in the playoffs alongside potentially a healthy Hunter Green is just, man, that's exciting. Just think about that rotation in a 3-game series. Let's just say a 3-game series, you got, Green, Lodolo, Burns. And then the next, if you advance, you could have, Singer, Lauder, Green. It's like it's awesome. It gets you fired up because baseball's right around the corner, and you get to see these young guys finally get a pitch, and it's gonna be weird seeing Lauder coming out of the bullpen, or seeing Williamson coming out of the bullpen, or Burns coming out of the bullpen. But I like it. I think it's been one of those weird things that kind of catches on.
It very well could set a trend in a direction for many teams, especially pitchers that have, innings limits and whatnot. I do remember way back when they traded Jonathan India for Brady Singer. I don't know if it was Derek Johnson or whomever. Maybe it might have been even Krall. Was talking about how the thing that they were trying to really do with construction of this pitching staff and whatnot is they were trying to basically eat up and find 1,458 innings, which is 9 innings for 162 games, right? So like they had to find that 1,458 innings wherever they could get it. They figured getting a guy like Singer, who pitched 169, almost 170 innings last year, fills up a big chunk of that. So that was like step 1 to get the innings eater. Now with this hybrid system, they're kind of still trying to do the same thing, and also do the Tito thing of rewarding Brandon Williamson from coming back all the way from Tommy John to look pretty dang great in spring training, 1.64 ERA or whatever, and pitching pretty effectively. Like, I think they're trying to accomplish both things. And like you said, it sounds like a very Derek Johnson innovative, trying to get his best guys out there they can possible to be the most effective in their, their best, the best, give them the best chance to be the best version of themselves, essentially. And if they can work this and like you said, kind of trade off different weeks and different starts and everything like that, and their bodies are feeling great and maybe even a bit refreshed, like that could be the kind of benefit off of this, is that some guys are maybe even looking even stronger going down the stretch, where we've had a couple pitchers, in the recent years kind of fade after the All-Star break in August and September, the most important months of baseball. And yeah, this could be something very good. I mean, in Derek Johnson, we trust, man, because that's definitely, if it's coming from him, I think that's something that I think I can definitely get behind. You know how I feel about openers, and this is kind of maybe a little bit of a tweak of an opener because you got a guy that goes maybe the first 3 or 4, but that's the modern game, man. Eating up those innings, especially with a guy like Burns who maxes out every time he goes out there. You don't want to pin him or pigeonhole him right away into like a closer role or bullpen role right away and this early in his career. You want to use him best you can without overusing him. So I think this is one of the best solutions I think I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it's nice because if the guy pitching is on, you can kind of leave him out there a little longer if you have to. And you can skip a guy if you need to. And then you could get him out the next time out, or you could, if he scheduled the pitch, let's just say on Louder Day, and Louder's effective and getting a lot of guys out, low pitch count through 5 innings, and you can just say, okay, Brandon, you're going to pitch tomorrow because we need to give Burns a short day, or, hey, Brandon, you're pitching today, but you're on a 60 pitch count, and Burns is going to come in once you hit 60 or something like that, I don't know where I thought of that when we had talked about it before, but it just felt it was going to be something weird. I just felt like the way they were preparing them all as starters, and they're still pretty good pitching depth in AAA. We'll talk about Chase Petty here in a little bit, but you feel pretty good about the depth. We got 6 legitimate starters, 7 if he's on with Chase Petty, and then Jose Franco coming up through AAA too. He's on the 40-man. You feel pretty good about what we have.
Yeah. I guess the only downside is that now AAA is a little bit less strong in the starting pitching category because B-Will is up in the majors and probably going to stick throughout the whole year, barring injury or what have you. I don't think they're going to really kind of, have him fine-tune anymore. I think they know what they got in him, and hopefully he can perform like this, right away.
I'm curious to what they're going to do when Green comes back.
Well, they're going to treat him like a trade acquisition, basically. They might shift some guys around and whatnot, but like that's basically it, right? Like he's going to be coming around the trade deadline. It's basically like they got an additional pitcher for the long stretch or the important stretch, right down the stretch and everything. So we'll see. It's kind of interesting, right? Like I don't know. Hopefully, we'll be in a good spot as well by the time that happens.
Yeah, you can only hope.
You know who's in a good spot? Chase Petty and them boys. Chase Petty and them prospects, man. I was blown up, like just giddy, because I don't know if you heard, Ricky, according to the broadcast, and obviously it was a San Francisco broadcast, so you know what I mean. They're kind of pulling for their own home guys. According to Baseball America, the Reds have the 18th best farm system. I don't think so. Not after that performance. If you watch that game, and it's a 1-game sample, but if you saw just Chase Petty, you saw, Hector Rodriguez, you saw, our guy McChrystal, you saw Hervin Murillo going out there, like that didn't look like the 18th best system. That looks like a top 10 system just on that night. But obviously, the system's more than just those guys that were and I'm talking about the MLB spring breakout game, which is features the prospects of the Giants versus the Reds. It's kind of a little bit of an all-star game for our prospects getting recognized to go out there and perform and show off what they're capable of. And did they do that last night? It was awesome to see. But hey, it's 1 game, and we're going to take all the positives out of that. Hopefully these guys will continue their success into whatever team they get assigned. But what were your first reactions and thoughts when you saw the breakout game. I don't know if you watched it live or you saw the replay or highlight.
I saw the replay. I I was so fired up for Chase Petty, man. Like the year he had last year was not good.
Yeah.
And so many people were just saying, cut him. Don't even trade him. Just get rid of him. Do something. And he goes out there, looks confident. He gets the first guy strikes out on an automatic strike. That was cool. And then he gives up a hit, the second batter, and then he doesn't allow a hit the rest of the game that he pitches. And he gets 6 strikeouts in 4 innings. And if I remember right, 30 out of his 40 pitches were strikes. Mm-hmm. And that is what I'm most excited about with him, because he has struggled. And when he's off, when he's really off, he's just not finding the zone. And we saw that with his major league debut. He just couldn't get guys to chase, and when he had to go in the zone, they were just ripping him. And he made some good pitches last night, and I think they said he topped out at 102.1 miles per hour. I don't know. He hasn't had that fastball since he was 19. I think pre Tommy John. I think he had Tommy John, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been more like 96, 95, 97 at best. Maybe Arizona dry air just kind of helped it out a little bit. Maybe StatCast just wasn't working right. But hey, if his fastball's back to that, man, oh boy, look out. Especially if he's locating his pitches. And he's got that new changeup grip he's been working on too. What's it called? The kick change, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm excited because he's really kind of lost favor with a lot of Reds fans and Reds media just on his prospect prowess. But he turns 23 in a month, so he's still so young. He debuted at 22. He was the youngest pitcher to debut for a Red since Homer Bailey. If that, just kind of keep that in mind. He's been in the system for 4 years, but he's still so young. We traded for him the year he got drafted out of high school. So he's just a kid, man, and he's still developing. And I did going back, I remember there was a quote from Jose Trevino saying he looked like Sonny Gray. He looked like Sonny Gray last night.
Oh, for sure. He was locating everything. I almost kind of was like, he kept coming out. I thought he was going to go maybe 3 innings, came out for the 4th. I'm like, oh, we'll just keep going. Let's just keep it going. I mean, I know it's a exhibition, and then all the other guys got to get in, but you maybe go 5 or 6 and figure it out. But it was so awesome to see, because he was locating it. There may have been some wind-aided 102 behind that pitch because how it could blow out with such strength. It might have blown his pitch right through the StatCast at 102. But hey, man, that looks good on the stat sheet. I wonder what he thought of that when they went back to the dugout and they showed him that. That'd be kind of interesting to see what his reaction was coming into that. But he wasn't the only one that was dealing. I was almost as equally impressed with him as I was Aaron Watson.
Yes,
coming out next. 19-year-old that I don't think I've ever seen. He didn't pitch at all. I think last year, high schooler, drafted. He came out and looked phenomenal as well. Just blowing it past guys and getting the job done in his 1 inning of work. But he even had to get out there and field the ball and toss it over to Cam Collier to get the 3rd out of the inning. So a little bit showing off his athleticism off the mound. So what do you think about Aaron Watson?
Yeah, I think he's way more advanced than I thought he was coming out of high school. I think he could skip the ACL. He probably could skip low A, honestly. I think you could start him at Dayton right now and he'd be all right. It's a stretch. Stretch. But I think he's that good. I think he could skip up to high A. And give him a whole year. Obviously, don't try to promote him. Just let him develop. And I think he can get away with not pitching in the ACL or Daytona.
Yeah, I could see him skipping ACL. I was talking to Carrick earlier today that there's a lot of pitchers, not only in the ACL, but also at Daytona. So maybe some guys get pushed along and he gets to be in Daytona and whatnot. But that could be cool to see him skip that, because he's only 19 years old. This is talking about Steele Hall territory, where a lot of people are kind of predicting maybe Steele Hall ends up either skipping ACL or being in ACL for just a little bit and onto Daytona. So like we're talking about 2 19-year-olds in our low A system. So that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, you could see, you move Tyson Lewis to third, you put Steelhall at short, and you bump up Alcantara to Dayton. That's very, very likely. And I found the pitch from Chase Petty that was 102.
Did you?
High and tight to a lefty.
Uh-huh.
It was a ball on StatCast, but they hit it in play for an out. But it looks legit.
I don't know.
Because every other pitch that I'm kind of just going through the box score, going batter by batter, and he's been averaging 97, 98 on his fastball. So there's a chance he might have just lost the grip and just overthrew it.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the guy caught up to it, so that's kind of why I don't know. All right, yeah. Anyway, either way, great outings for both those fellas. I watched that live and was really impressed with both of them and their stuff. And not only them, but H-Rod. H-Rod looked fantastic. I think he ended up on the night with 4 RBIs, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, something like that.
2 for 3 with the 2-run homer to lead off the game. Well, second batter of the game. His first at bat is what I meant. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's optioned down the AAA to start the year, but we feel really confident about these guys coming up. We have a lot of outfield depth ahead of him. I think we can basically think that Friedel, Marte, and Benson are the locks so far. They've announced Benson. You can assume Marte and Friedel, obviously. But you're looking at Dane Myers. You're looking at Aris Hines.
Spencer
Steer playing in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then doesn't Michael Tolia play outfield too? Like, should he play good in AAA? I'm not expecting him to set the world on fire or anything, but and then Blake Dunn kind of being ahead of him too, just as far as like tenure, and he's still really young. Was he 21, 22? Rodriguez?
About to turn 22.
Okay, so he's so young.
He just turned 22.
He did kind of struggle a tad in AAA. Didn't play as well as he did in AA, which is kind of expected. You're kind of, you're seeing better pitchers. You're seeing more major league quality pitchers at that level. He wasn't awful, but he was just, not his usual self. But man, he looked so good last night, and it just gets you really excited for next year. Should, depending on what happens roster wise, being a legitimate possible, majority starter in the outfield next year.
Yeah, and very well could be called up this year if there's something that happens with performance or injury or what have you. He seems like a serviceable guy. He had been playing a lot of left field, so I don't know exactly, and I think we've talked about this going back and forth. He plays some center, but has been majority left field. So I wonder what exactly his major league position is going to be, if he has the athletic range to be a center fielder. Maybe he can be kind of like a Benson, where he can play center field at Great American, but maybe not in the bigger ballparks kind of thing. So we'll see exactly what his major league, position ends up being, but looked great. I mean, he kind of was a guy that we had really high hopes of, and had a decent winter league, came into spring training looking pretty decent, but like you said, there's a log jam ahead of them, and they kind of really like a Blade. They really like a Dane Myers. They still like Will Benson. So shout out to those guys. Hector Rodriguez is going to have to earn it one way or other.
Yeah, you know who else looked good last night? Cam Collier going 2 for 5. He did strike out twice, but he had a run scored. Mm-hmm. Feel really good about him. And then our guy Hervin Murillo, just 103 opposite field off the wall. Man, Pablo Nunez was at the game. He actually filmed the at bat for Murillo from the side, from behind the dugout.
Oh, really?
And just hearing him scream for him was awesome.
Yeah,
and it's just the chemistry that those guys have. It's exciting because Murillo's finally getting some pub, being stateside, cracking the top 30 list this year, along with Hansel Jimenez. You feel good about the future of the catching position for the first time in a long time with the Reds. There's been some bust for the last I mean, if you take away Tyler Stevenson, basically since you drafted Tucker Barnhart, that just takes you back a long ways. So you got, we had Ryan McChrystal rip a single up the middle at 98. They had 3 catchers in this game that I think they all 3 had a hit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting, especially, with the flexibility that McChrystal has playing first base. I would think they're probably going to do the same thing with Murillo, let him have some first base time. I'm curious about Duno, what they do with him. Is he going to stick at catcher full time all the time? Because we've heard some rumblings about who's going to be where at the minor league level, but Crystal got called up to Dayton towards the end of the season.
Yep.
And Duno obviously stayed in low A and Daytona. Obviously, you're going to move up Duno, but Ryan McChrystal's a really good catcher. I think he deserves some respect on that. And do they move him up to Chattanooga? Does he stay in Dayton? And you play the two as a tandem and you kind of just bring them up together? Or is Duno going to leapfrog him in terms of catcher and you move McChrystal to first base because his bat plays? I mean, he hit what, close to 300 last year? I think he was in the 280s.
Yeah.
Didn't have the best power numbers, but a lot of that was because of Daytona. So I think getting him a full season at Dayton with that ballpark, you can kind of see more home runs out of him.
For sure.
I'm interested to see his power numbers this year, and I'm interested to see what they do in terms of that dynamic, because there's one thing to remember: Hervin Murillo is still really young too. Him and Duno are pretty close to the same age, and Murillo's higher on prospect rankings than McChrystal is, obviously, with Murillo being on the top 30. You wonder if maybe a move to first base might be a thing for McChrystal more full-time. Maybe not all the time, like more, maybe he becomes a primary first baseman with the backup catcher role.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think my gut is telling me they're going to package McChrystal and Duno, either splitting time with the flexibility of having McChrystal play first base when Duno's catching and whatnot, because they did that at Daytona. I think that's probably the same thing. Although there was that 60-day IL report that said Connor Burns, the AA catcher, the guy they really like in Chattanooga, is on the 60-day IL right now. So it could be a possibility, but I doubt it. I think they've got some other guys at AA that could, catch in the meantime while Burns is recovering on IL. It is an interesting situation because, it's almost now we got a surplus of catchers. So I
love it. I'm here for it.
We had this conversation about shortstops, and then we ended up having a trade deadline where Sammy Stafura was sayonara. So I'm not wishing that for our catching prospects because we really like them a lot, starting with the guys that presumably be in Dayton. And then, like you said, Hervin Murillo and whatnot. And it could be a situation where we got a lot of guys and we got to figure out what positions they play. Is Cam Collier going to be a first baseman or third baseman primarily? There's a lot of things that will be interesting to keep tabs on during the season in terms of where guys are playing position wise, not just what team they're assigned to, but also what positions they're playing, because it may indicate what their future positions will be when they keep moving up in the system or ultimately be a Cincinnati Red. So very interesting stuff on that front. I also want to shout out Kian Vu. He had some really nice at-bats out there going the other way. Also, off the bat of Cam Collier, hitting a single to right field, went first to third, just like how you want to do. That's the type of stuff you'd love to see in a ball club, especially at the lower levels. If those guys are taking advantage of going first to third and getting in there in that scoring position at third base with, regularity, with the right base running mindset that, running the bases the right way, right? Not running into outs, not forcing it, but doing it to put pressure on the other team's defense. Love to see that. Wanted to shout him out for that as well. But
for the box score, 10 runs, 10 hits for the Reds, 1 run, 5 hits for the Giants. Petty allowed that 1 hit through his 4 innings of work. I guess kind of going through the rest of the box score, we just do a quick little rundown. You had Aaron Watson threw a perfect inning. Montero threw an inning, allowed a hit with a walk. JP Ortiz struck out 3, but he did walk 2, but didn't allow a run off 1 hit. And then Trevor Kunsel, I think he allowed a triple and then a single, which the single you can make the argument maybe Sanchez could have had a better route to the ball in right field. But nonetheless, it was a hard hit ball. Yeah. But he did get a strikeout, and he only allowed that 1 run with the walk. And I feel good about him going forward too. Potentially in AAA, I think. And if it weren't for May and Maxwell, I think he's a closer. It's just I think he's going to rotate, 8th inning work with one of those two being the closer.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was the first run he's given up all spring training. So
it was due. And these guys are people got to remember these guys are the top prospects for each team. So there's no slouches that he's facing. They're prospects, but they're good hitters.
Yeah. But like you said, his first spring training is just 1 run. The inning didn't get away from him. He's shut down the game. Also, shout out Kyle Henley. He had a nice catch to end the game for the last out, little sliding thing. So shout out Kyle Henley. Really like his stuff. Hopefully he has a great season. I think possibly in Daytona as well, coming off the 50 steals season. But shout out to him.
I think he might be in Dayton. I could see him moving up. You have a 50 steal season. I mean, I think he can. You got to get on base to get 50 steals, and he did. He hit like 279, I think, or something like that. He had a pretty decent season as far as hitting. I'm trying to find his stats real quick.
The one real big thing that I found out, and I think Carrick might even point out to me, is that he cut down his strikeout rate from 40% at the start of the season in August and September or what have you. And then, or not, what am I saying? No, at the beginning of April. And then by the time he got to August to September, it was down to 20%. So he cut his strikeout rate in half. And if he could do that again, it's even a better example of the stuff he's working on and getting better at making sure he's not striking out as much.
Yeah. So last year it was 267 with 57 stolen bases, a 653 OPS. Like I said, not great, but he played a whole season in Daytona. In 2024, he split time with the ACL in Daytona. He played 4 games in Daytona. He played 99 games last year. I would assume they can probably find a way to move him up, especially with Kian Vu probably playing down there more in Daytona. And then Mason Neville really kind of struggled last night. I think he showed the swing and miss stuff that you're the college baseball's leading home run hitter and you fall to the 4th round. I think we kind of saw why that happened. But if you can tool that with the hitting coach down in Daytona and low A, that's what the minor leagues are for. If you can get that figured out a little bit better, I feel really good about him too in the future.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Any other thoughts about the spring breakout game?
No, I just love it, man. I for prospect junkies like you and I, it's fun. Seeing I always joke that, as Reds fans, we're always told, one of these days we're going to get there and just wait for the future. Well, why wait for the future? You can watch these young guys now. And if you have an MLB subscription, you get their games for free. So, I mean, why not? And, some of these guys could become very legitimate major league players. I feel really confident about a couple of these guys being really good major league players.
Yeah, definitely. And the guys that we follow, at very least, they go about the right way and they play baseball the right way, which is awesome to see. And they're doing everything they can to make this organization better every single day. So really appreciate them. So shout them all out, all the guys that we, touch base with and whatnot. But
not only are they really good baseball players, they're really good men. Yeah. And you feel really good about the people that they've got coming through the system.
Yeah, for sure. I really hope MLB get it done, get the CBA done, because they're also expanding the MLB breakout or spring breakout game to a little bit mini tournament in 2027. So, well, maybe they'll still do it without Major League Baseball being back on. I don't know. We'll see.
I think they could work that out. I think what was it? Matthew Muncy said that the minor league CBA is a little bit different, that they might still get a season in.
Yeah, they could. And if they do, we will be right here. And if they don't, we'll still be right here covering it. If you've made it this far, please like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube, to our X channel, to Instagram, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Also, we're a podcast that will come out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. So we're really appreciative of all you guys that have followed us so far. We're looking forward to this season. And we're going to do a little bit more of these kind of videos where we react to the news of the day or the week, and maybe some special games like the MLB spring breakout game that we'd like to get, our thoughts on, or, any other things, maybe with minor leagues and stuff like that. Check out our show on Sundays, 8 p.m. Check out minor league Mondays, 8 p.m. as well. So until then, Ricky, go Reds.
Go Reds.